So, today's a devlog slash vlog kind of thing because I want to talk about the game or the game progress so far. I also want to talk about Iron Lung a little bit because I went to see it today and it was pretty good. Don't worry, I'm not spoiling anything at all. I just mostly want to talk about vibes because the vibes were immaculate, my friend. Let me tell you, the last time I went to the movie theater, I was so disappointed. So the last time I went to movie theater, I thought I went to see Thor: Love and Thunder. It wasn't. I went to see Argyle. I don't care if you like that movie. I didn't. It's just needless to say, I didn't. But that's not what I'm talking about today, okay? I don't want to revisit that moment. I don't want to think about it ever again. But Iron Lung was... I kind of went in blind. So I am a fan of Markiplier, of course. Otherwise, I don't think I would have gone to see it because I don't really do theaters all that much. But no, I heard about the movie, wasn't showing in Canada, then it was. My sister found out. We got matinee tickets, which is why I'm filming in daylight. It's daylight outside. It's kind of crazy. And it was nice because the theater was pretty empty. So I got to enjoy it without any interruptions. And so yeah, no, we went to see it. I didn't actually ever watch him do that gameplay because sometimes I just miss videos. I guess that's one of the videos I missed. And so I watched a lot of the behind the scenes leading up to the movie, and I wasn't really sure what to expect at all. And I really didn't want to ruin it for myself, so I just kept it that way. Boy, oh boy, was I impressed with everything. The story, the atmosphere, ooh, shiver still. There's one scene that sticks out to me, and don't worry, this still isn't a spoiler, because if you don't know that there's blood in the movie, then what are you doing? Like, come on. You don't exist online then. That's it. That's the only excuse. But there's this one scene that really just kind of like, I don't know why it got me, but I keep thinking about it and I love it. And I think that was a big pivot plot-wise. When you see the movie, or if you've seen the movie, you probably know what I'm talking about. It's essentially when blood just splatters across his face. Man, chills. Also, just there's so many other things that were just like so phenomenally done. They like the artistry of the camera work, the lighting, the effects, the practical effects. Boy, were they impressive. My goodness, I can't think of a movie I've seen in recent years where the practical effects were just that impressive. And I know they're practical. There's always a stipulation with practical effects, because when you think practical effects, you think like really bad armatures or I don't know, stilted movement of puppets, or just kind of like kitschy corpses just doing weird things. No. This was just well put together. Even the special effects, like the makeup, everything. I was really impressed. And the little details that you would catch in the background or see on the character, which Mark was playing, his name was Simon. It was so good. And it kept you really focusing not only on what's happening in the foreground, but what's happening in the background. And the thing is, the crazy part is the background is so limited because it all takes place in one small space, because it's the Iron Lung. And somehow they still managed to make every scene fresh. Oh man, I can't express to you how impressed I was. And it's also so refreshing. I cannot emphasize this enough. It is so refreshing to see a movie that isn't a prequel, a sequel, a remake, just another storyline that's just absolutely been beaten into the ground by Hollywood. And it's also nice that it wasn't made by Hollywood, and you can tell by the amount of effort that was put into it. It's just a unique story, and it really does take me back. Like, the only thing I could pair this with in regards to atmosphere, and even then it's still pretty off base because it is a fairly unique kind of concept film-wise, would be Event Horizon, if I'm being quite honest. So, which is also a bomb-ass movie. So if you haven't seen that, it's an oldie but a goldie. Absolutely. So all I have to say is the Iron Lung was worth every penny. Also, plus I got to eat a bunch of popcorn. I have a stomach ache now. Totally worth it. Love popcorn. But that's what I wanted to say about Iron Lung. Thank you Markiplier, thank you, the team that worked with him, thank you all of you for making this absolute work of art. And I really hope that this signals a pivot for independent filmmaking, because we really need filmmakers to start submitting their films into theaters independently instead of trying to jump through the hoops of corporate Hollywood, because I really think that would change the film industry for the best. We could have amazing films written by independents and have all these unique stories and storylines if people just did it. Like, could you imagine other YouTubers doing the same thing and bringing games or movies to life because they can afford to do it? That would be wicked. Wouldn't it be cool? Super cool. Anyways, Iron Lung. That was what I wanted to talk about. Great movie. I want to see it again, but I'm not going back to theaters. I'll just wait for it to come out and I'll just watch it again. Only thing I was sad about is that I didn't have subtitles, so sometimes it was hard for my brain to see what was going on. No, I'm kidding, but not really. Mostly. Anyway. So now about the game. This is why I'm also here. Devlog vlog. So the first devlog I put out was actually recorded a couple weeks ago. And so in that time, I actually have been fairly busy in regards to what I've been putting into the game. A lot of it wasn't really aesthetic. It was behind the scenes work. So just to give you a rundown, and me a rundown, essentially I had to rename or create a naming convention for all the stories so that the scripts that I'm writing in Ren'Py, because I'm using Ren'Py, don't cross interact. So I don't want any of the choices you make in one story to affect another story or break the game, etc. It's a really simple, clean system, because if you're just organized, it's easy. It's just I had to go back and do it to the initial story that I launched with the bare bones barely demo. And so now I'm incorporating 3 other stories, because I do have 3 other stories written up so that they can be played around with. And that's what's been taking so long, because it's kind of just tedious work. It's not necessarily hard work. It's just a lot of work. So I've been doing that, and there's not really a whole lot I can show about that, because it's typing, it's coding, it's Python, it's whatever. However, I've also been working on the menu, because I've been trying to figure out how exactly I wanted it to look, which has been my biggest struggle. Which is why for a moment I got really fixated on the name and then realized it doesn't matter, because I know now what I want it to look like. So essentially the main menu is going to be just like a static menu. But when you go into the story selection is what I wanted to keep a little on the unique side, instead of just having a book cover or an image. Essentially, you pick based off the door vibe. So they're going to be doors is what I'm getting at. And every door is a different, it caters to the story. It has like elements that are from the story on the door, and that's how you differentiate them. And essentially it'll go into a sub menu that will give you information on the story. You can decide if you want to play it or not, or go back to the door room essentially. And so I'm just kind of doing it that way, and I'm actually pretty pumped. I'm having a lot of fun drawing it. I'm just creating all these elements, not sure if they're going to stay in the final iteration of the game or later in. I already feel like I'm going to go back and fix a bunch of things, but I still want to create these things. I still like the door idea. I still like the window idea for looking into because that's how I see it. It's like you open a door, you look in, and then if you want to play that, you don't. If you do, you go through the door, and it's like, well, Books of Odyssey, you open them, you know what I mean? So it's just a nice little different way of kind of doing a story selection and just a menu, I think. Maybe one day I'll animate the doors or get someone to animate the doors, because I thought about doing that the other day and I started and I stopped immediately. I was like, what am I doing? I don't have time for this. So menus is what I'm working on now, that the stories, and then once I get the menus at least to a passable degree, I'm thinking of just putting out the doors. So this is another reason I can't just keep putting out these iterations, is that none of the backgrounds are two of the stories have some sort of like stand-in backgrounds that I can use. The other 2 do not. And I really don't want to use all the free to use art. I hate looking at it. And so that's kind of why I haven't been updating the game, so to speak. So what I'm thinking of doing for the next playable update is keep the original story that's there. It's already there, even though I hate the backgrounds in there. And then the second story where I've drawn the backgrounds and had artists that I hired back in the day do some backgrounds. Those are done, paid for, finished. I'm going to put those 2 in. And then essentially list the stories that are going to be available in the game and give some synopsis. Because if I give you everything at once, like, what's the point, you know? Then what are you going to play the demo for? So I think for every major launch, which means I get 2 more, I will put out another portion of the stories. And it's not going to be the full stories because I need to focus on making it work, getting the UI done, which is the hardest part in my opinion. And then I have to go and hammer out all the characters, all the backgrounds, all that fun stuff. And then we will work on putting the bells and whistles on it. And so that's kind of where I'm at with the whole updates and everything. I'm still super pumped to do it. I'm still having a blast, and I'm super happy that I'm doing these vlogs because I don't know, it's kind of keeping me accountable. In regards to my other things, I just also wanted to mention, like, I have my comics. So if anyone from my Patreon is watching, I am working on them. I just finished storyboarding the next several pages of Incantato. I can't even say my own fucking comic name. Incantatio. But those are done. And then I have my other comic, Y Blood. And then I... and then I have school. I have work. I have everything. I do sleep. I sleep a lot, actually. But, well, a healthy amount. But, yeah, that's what's happening. That's what's coming. The comic updates won't be until next month, probably mid-month. Well, I'll probably work on them during my reading week. The next game update, probably around the same time, because these doors are taking me a minute to draw because I'm actually putting some effort into them. I just want to make sure the second part of the story is edited. The backgrounds are all synced up. Again, there's going to be no characters in the stories because the story I'm using is an older one and I want to redraw the characters. I am satisfied with the backgrounds for now, so that's why I'm implementing the backgrounds that I drew previously. Those who have followed me before will recognize them from my old VN. Actually, I mentioned in the last devlog, I don't know why I'm keeping it a secret, it's from BB and Human. I'm also thinking of renaming that title. We'll see. All things come. They'll come eventually. They'll get done eventually. But that's all I wanted to say. I don't want this to go on forever because I also have things to do. I need to write an essay today. So yes, Iron Lung, phenomenal. Go watch it if you haven't. Game updates, I just told you about them. Rewind if you need to hear it again. Comic, coming. Game update, coming. All right? Also, gameplay stuff, we'll see. Okay, bye.